Hey, welcome to Film versus Movie, the podcast where we debate the cinema you hate. I'm your co-host, Belton Delane Facey.
And my name's Chris Scher.
And on this podcast, we watch the films that have been slandered, desecrated, and shot with Santa's favorite gun by public opinion. And one of us tells you why it's actually pretty good.
And the other one's going to tell you why it's a steaming pile of shit.
If you enjoy this podcast, be sure to follow us and give us 5 stars on whatever platform you listen on. But today, we are debating Red One, which is the Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson Christmas movie that truly asked the question, what if the spirit of Christmas was military propaganda the whole time?
Yeah. There, at one point, I thought Santa was going to launch like ground-to-air missiles to solve a problem.
Yeah. Honestly, that was not outside the realm of expectation for his movie.
I think at one point they're escorting Santa with F-22 Raptors.
Yeah, complete military escort. And I don't think this movie is aware that they just fantasized the North Pole as a police state.
Yeah, well, this is what happens when you have Trump in president. You get military industrial complex Santa.
And so this movie came out last year, 2024. Basically, Dwayne Johnson plays the head of essentially the North Pole Secret Service, and they have to find Santa Claus before Christmas Eve.
Yeah, he's called Red One, like Red One.
Which, like, I know Secret Service has code names for the president.
What it's I think it's something one.
Yeah, it's something one. Whatever. I'm sure they change it up. All right, well, let's get into the plot. So the film opens on Jack, otherwise known as the Wolf, as a kid, as he reveals the hidden Christmas presents to his cousins and tells them Santa doesn't exist. Then we jump to Jack as an adult, who is now played by Chris Evans, and it goes to a sequence of him pulling off this one-man heist to steal top secret information, and he sells it to a buyer afterwards.
It's how they set him up as a major Scrooge. The beginning is just like, hey, Chris Evans is a very handsome asshole, and he was that way from birth.
Yeah, keep in mind, in this scene, he literally steals candy from a baby.
Yeah.
That is something that is very deliberate, because they show the baby with candy. He walks by at first, then he sees the baby again, and he's like, you know what? My candy now.
When we watched it, Belton goes, I bet you he's going to steal the candy. And then he didn't steal the candy. He's like, oh, I'm pretty surprised about that. And then it cut back and he did steal the candy.
It's almost like the first time I saw Batman versus Superman, I was like, oh, I'm glad they're not going to show us the Wayne's getting shot again. And then it shows us that in slow-mo.
Pearls flying across the street and everything.
Yeah.
Which I literally just read on Reddit. They tie knots behind the pearls so that doesn't happen.
So after that, we jump to a mall where Cal, who's the head of the North Pole Security, played by Dwayne Johnson, commander of ELF, which stands for Enforcement, Logistics, and Fortification. He escorts the real Santa Claus at a mall greeting, and then during that scene, they have a conversation about how Cal can't see the good in people anymore, so he's about to retire. This Christmas is his one last ride.
Okay, who's the guy that plays Santa? I'm blanking so.
J.K. Simmons.
J.K. Sim. I kept referring him to as J. Jonah Jameson. I was like, oh wait, that's not his name. He's the Whiplash guy. Like, shit, I'm turning into my dad.
Yeah, it's like. Also, right after the scene, they go to the North Pole. They get a military escort out of here. The movie implies the head of every world government knows Santa is real, and it's just their little secret.
Yeah, there's like a CIA level situation going on where they're mediating all of the, what is it? All folklore creatures.
Yeah, which also, I'm disappointed that this movie is just military propaganda and doesn't like think about the implications of using the military, because they had the perfect setup of the fact Santa needs military escort to leave Philadelphia, but they just weren't aware of what they were doing.
Okay, yeah. They should have had Santa be like, normally the only time Santa needs a military escort is when the Eagles are playing.
Yeah, Because also, if you follow sports, you probably heard the famous story of like when Philadelphia threw snowballs at Santa Claus.
Yep.
Like absolute perfect setup. All they needed something was like Santa talking to one of the Air Force guys and be like, "Hey, thanks for this. Leaving Philly's pretty rough."
Yeah, that would have killed. You're right. That was a big miss.
Yeah. All right. So they go back to the North Pole. Santa gets kidnapped. And then we're introduced to Mora, which stands for Mythical Oversight and Restoration Authority. They basically protect all mythical creatures. So they track the League of the North Pole plans because, I guess for context, the North Pole is hidden under this invisible dome similar to Wakanda in Black Panther.
Yep. They got a Wakanda dome.
Yeah. So after that, they know there was a leak in the information. They track it back to Jack. So we go back to Jack. He's picking up his kid from school, and the kid's telling him, "Oh, I have this band recital tonight. It's lame. You don't have to come." And he's like, "Oh, if you think it's lame, I'm definitely not going to come." And just establishing he's not a good parent. But then he goes home. He's kidnapped from his apartment by Mora. After interrogation, he agrees to track down the broker. So they track down the broker to Aruba. Jack and Cal are there, and they find the broker who's named Ted. He's played by Nick Kroll, and he reveals the buyer is Gryla, who is the Christmas witch.
Okay. Is Gryla like a common character in mythology?
I have never heard of Gryla
I haven't heard of Gryla either.
I mean, they made up a lot in here. I mean, the fact Krampus is actually a thing is crazy to me. I can't imagine another culture making up Gryla.
But yeah, I mean, Krampus makes sense. Like, he's the father of winter. Winter punishes everyone. It could be like the same thing.
Oh, yeah. I also have to say during this scene, when Gryla's making her threats, they do this thing where...
yeah, Gryla exists. Iceland.
Okay. Good to know. But yeah, during the scene, they're doing this thing where Gryla takes over Ted's body and talks to Cal and Jack through him. And, you know, now we see Gryla in her hideout. The movie just cuts in between her talking in the hideout and Ted talking possessed by her. Gryla is played by Kiernan Shipka. Ted is played by Nick Kroll. They clearly got two very different directions in that scene.
I think that they told her to basically just communicate. And then I think they told Nick Kroll that it was painful to have your body taken over and that it was an evil process. And so he tried to make it look painful. It did come out a little strange.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. It's just that when you're cutting in between those two things, because to me, Kiernan Shipka got the direction of like calm power and commanding, which she did. And then Nick Kroll is all over the place. He practically goes through half the voices of Big Mouth.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they just like gave Nick Kroll no direction and they just told him the general vibe of what was going on. And then he's like, "Oh, my body's getting taken over. This is how I'm going to play it." And then they just didn't bother to like change it at all.
Yeah. I think if they didn't cut to Gryla in that scene, it would have pulled off very well.
Yeah.
All right.
Wait, did he end up dying?
He didn't die. Well, that's what we're about to get to, because after that, Gryla sends snowmen after them, and after the ensuing fight, they freeze Ted. So he's not dead, but he's frozen. So he can't give them any more information.
That was it.
Yeah. So after that, Cal and Jack go to see Krampus, who is Santa's brother and Gryla's ex. Krampus, like, the scene, they don't really gain information, but the big thing is that Krampus almost keeps Cal prisoner. He gives Jack an easy out to just walk away, but Jack decides to make sure Cal also gets out, and so they escape Krampus.
Okay, wait, that's not the only important thing. The other important thing was that Santa hates punishing people, and Krampus was the punisher, and he was responsible for making the lists. And then Santa is so mad that Krampus was going around punishing people, stole his list from him, And that's how Santa ended up with the naughty and nice list.
Oh, yeah. I guess that is significant. I'll be honest. I think I blacked out on everything but the list. I just remember Chris Evans is a level 4 naughty lister, which is bad.
He is a level 4 naughty lister.
Yeah. All right. So after they escape Krampus, they return to Mora headquarters, figure out Santa and Gryla must still be in the North Pole. Soon after, Gryla captures Jack's son with these magic snow globes. Jack wants to save his son, so he essentially uses another one of those snow globes to let himself get captured. While they're in there, he apologizes for being a bad dad, and suddenly they're free. Because Gryla's plan is to capture everyone on the naughty list and send all the snow globes out around the world. Cal and the head of Mora break back into the North Pole. And there's a huge fight. They stop Gryla from taking off. Krampus arrives to help, and they capture Gryla in one of the snow globes. After that, Jack and his son join Santa on his New Year's Eve ride to drop off presents. And in the end, Cal sees Jack's inner child and decides not to retire.
Good story.
Yeah.
I thought that J.K. Simmons was going to die and that The Rock, they're going to ask The Rock to be Santa. And he's going to be like, no, I'm The Rock. I can't be Santa. And so then Chris Evans was going to have to become Santa. And then they recreate the movie Santa Claus.
Honestly, I don't think that was outside the realm of possibilities. I just think that would have been a wild ending for The Rock's character to be like, I can't be Santa. I'm not qualified. And just let him let him give the title to someone who's even less qualified.
Well, I figured Santa would like dissolve his soul or something and feed it to Chris Evans. And he would take on Santa's power, kind of like a paladin of sorts, representing a demigod.
I feel like if they were going to transfer it anyway to stick with this movie's tone and general vibe, and Santa would have used a needle to take the Christmas magic out his veins, and so either Chris Evans or Dwayne Johnson just shoot themselves up like steroids.
Oh, right in the heart, like adrenaline.
All right, so yeah, this movie was produced largely by Dwayne Johnson's team. The story idea came from producer Hiram Garcia, who's the head of Dwayne Johnson's production company. And basically, the writer and director had worked with them before. The writer was Chris Morgan, who wrote most of the Fast and Furious movies. It was directed by Jake Kasdan, who directed the Jumanji reboots The Rock was in. His most famous movie is probably Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story. He was also an executive producer on the TV shows New Girl and Fresh Off the Boat.
Both great shows.
Yeah.
Both wonderful shows. Wait, how did we not, when we were watching, not figure out it was written by the guy who did Fast and Furious? They tracks like that writing.
Oh, yeah, it definitely does.
He seemed a little out of his depth. And it showed like that style would fit perfectly if it wasn't a Christmas movie. And if instead of Santa being kidnapped, the president was kidnapped. I think that it would have been a little more natural, but
honestly, I think then you just have Olympus Has Fallen.
Yeah.
Like at some point in the movie, I was actually expecting them to say the North Pole has fallen. Surrounding the production of this movie, there was a lot of reports about Dwayne Johnson's reported behavior. He was reportedly 7 to 8 hours late to set frequently, which at that point, because a standard shooting day is like 12 hours, what do you even shoot?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it reportedly caused so many delays in shooting that it increased the budget by $50 million. And Dwayne Johnson's salary for this was already reported at $50 million. I'm not sure if you looked at my notes, but do you want to guess how much the final budget was?
$250 million.
Yep. $250 million, which like, I feel like this movie as a concept isn't a bad idea. That's just way too high of a budget for it.
Yeah. Like if you could have pulled this off at like 85 million, how much did it gross?
It grows 185 million.
Yeah. So $85 million. You don't even need The Rock in this movie. as we were saying, Terry Crews would have been a better pick for the Rock's character.
Yeah, Terry Crews knows how to do like the movie was overly serious a lot, especially with Dwayne Johnson's character, and Terry Crews knows how to do these serious lines but also keep up some of the comedy.
Yeah.
Also among his report on set behavior is that after being late, he would often pee in water bottles on set so he wouldn't have to leave to use the bathroom.
Where? Where? Like, what? Like, there had to have been I feel like a place with privacy to piss into a water bottle is going to be just as far as the bathroom.
I imagine there was just a PA whose job was to just hold a blanket, and whenever Dwayne Johnson signaled him, he just ran up and held the blanket around him so he had some privacy.
Have you ever been in like a studio, like a filming studio?
Yeah.
Are the bathrooms really far away?
No, they're not.
And like that's like what, 8 minutes to that's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. He thinks of this to save time, but just doesn't show up on time. And actually, in a GQ interview, he was given the opportunity to address these allegations. He called it blown out of proportion. He did admit he was late, but not as much as they're reporting. And he did admit to peeing in bottles. So I don't understand what's blown out of proportion.
Oh my God, where did he pee? That's all like... Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Evans did defend him in interviews and saying, you know, like all the production staff, writer, director are all his people. They know how he works. So like they know he works out in the morning. So like all that time was accounted for.
Oh, okay. Well, I could actually see something like that
I could see that.
I could see something where basically The Rock's like, yeah, they told me that's when I need to come in. I was maybe like an hour late for my call time, but everyone else was there at 9 and like they weren't clued in.
Yeah. Because I mean, after this, there were multiple outlets that were getting quotes from people who worked on various projects The Rock's been a part of, and like a lot of them were confirming he's repeatedly late. There was one crew member from the TV show Ballers who said The Rock was late so much that due to the overtime hours, I qualified for healthcare, which silver lining, I guess.
Shout out to The Rock, helping people out, turning the workplace into a better place.
Yeah. So this movie was originally supposed to release exclusively on Amazon Prime Video for the 2023 holiday season, but due to the SAG-AFTRA strikes, they decided to push it to a 2024 theatrical release. And now, before it released, Dwayne Johnson pushed for this to be released in IMAX. And like, I feel like his reasoning, you have to hear for yourself.
With Red One, our intention was to make a movie that you can enjoy on the biggest screen possible, legitimately. The biggest screens possible, well, they're IMAX. I was midway through shooting Red One. I had an opportunity to go watch Oppenheimer, and I watched it in the IMAX theater where Christopher Nolan watches and screens his movies, him and Emma, his wife, and I even asked, let me sit where Chris is sitting. So they said, Chris sits here to enjoy the movie. So I sat where Chris sat. I watched Oppenheimer, it was amazing. But I was thinking, holy shit, this thing, Red One on this screen, with this technology, it's gonna be game over. So I remember texting Jake and I sent him a picture, first of my bare chest, and then I sent him a picture of the screen. and we realized that we just had a great conversation afterwards about just how cool it's gonna be. It's gonna be very cool.
I don't know how much Oppenheimer really needed to be seen in IMAX. Maybe Red One is right. What is a movie that's ideal for IMAX now that I'm thinking about it?
I mean, I just feel like, because he said they were in the middle of production, I feel like demanding this movie that's already shooting to be put in IMAX is kind of like paying to be in a PhD program. It's just a sign you shouldn't be there.
Do you need to use special cameras for IMAX?
You can put a movie on an IMAX screen with regular cameras, but like to shoot in IMAX, you need special IMAX cameras. So like Oppenheimer and Sinners used special IMAX cameras.
So they look great.
Yeah.
Do you think they've reshot everything, or do you think they just stuck it in IMAX?
Oh, they definitely just stuck it in IMAX.
Aren't those IMAX spots hard to get? Like, isn't there a lot of competition?
Yeah, because I mean, there are very few, if any, theaters in America that have 2 IMAX theaters. So for the most part, when movies make a deal for IMAX, they are paying for like a 2 to 3 week window where the IMAX screens show nothing but this movie.
Yeah.
And I just think like how insane it is for him to think like Red One is going to be this such a highly anticipated movie that, oh, everyone's going to want to see this in IMAX.
Yeah. I just also like, who's this for? Like, I'm watching it. I didn't even hate the movie. I kind of liked it. I thought it was fun. We'll get into it. But like, at no point was I like, I needed to see this in IMAX. I'm trying to think like Lawrence of Arabia might have been really good in IMAX, or maybe like Interstellar in IMAX, but not Red One.
Yeah.
I guess you need like wide shots is like what you would want for IMAX, right?
Not necessarily. The aspect ratio on IMAX is different. So actually like the shots that are on IMAX cameras tend to be closer to like what was essentially a TV screen in, say, late 90s, early 2000s. Oh. If you remember that aspect ratio.
Okay, but when I mean wide, like at a distance is kind of what I meant. Like you'd want to have a lot of like shots where you're getting a lot of composition of the entire area.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, cool. Nice little IMAX. We're running out of time.
So this movie came out in theaters on November 15th, 2024. It then released to Prime Video on December 12th of that year. According to Nielsen ratings, it was the 10th most streamed film of 2024. And I guess most importantly for Amazon, it beat out Netflix's Christmas action movie that year, Carry On. So at the box office, as mentioned before, it grossed $185 million on a $250 million budget. Currently on IMDb, it sits at a 6.2 out of 10 and a 30% on Rotten Tomatoes.
All right, let's get this thing started, Belton. Let's get this started.
All right, now it's time for our opening statements. Chris will be defending the film. I will be attacking. If you want a fun Christmas movie where Santa gets in trouble, watch The Santa Claus with Tim Allen. If you want to see an alternative Christmas movie with good action and laughs, watch Gremlins. If for some reason you specifically want to watch Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson rescue Santa Claus and save Christmas, you should skip this movie anyway. It misses the mark on a lot of the humor and action. After that, what else is there? I'd rather take my lump of coal and go home.
Red One is a fun film that fully showcased everything The Rock was capable of. It has a lot of heart, and it made me smile by the end. It has a lot of heart. It is a lot of heart wrapped up in a mistletoe-themed military-industrial complex. But like, in general, it was about the fact that people should strive to do or be the best versions of themselves. And that isn't like fully a pure, like, oh, we're always going to be doing good. But it's just like, you should strive to not be an asshole.
Yeah, but I feel like the only character it really like works on that with is Chris Evans' character, who's the hacker. He gets one opportunity to give to be a good person. They give it to him, and it's just like, all right, cool, character development done. Like, because I feel like his relationship with his son is supposed to be the heart of the story, but they don't develop that all that much.
Yeah, I think it was purposefully shallow. That's going to take a long time to figure out. And the entire movie was just 24 hours. So I think trying to show like a grander progression is a little unrealistic. I thought it was nice. It showed that he re-examined all of some of the aspects of his personality and how they affected other people. I thought it made me smile. The Rock examined like his own cynical developing nature. J.K. Simmons just stayed Santa.
I mean, I feel like Santa didn't need to develop as a character. Santa was just the MacGuffin of the movie.
Krampus re-examined the grudge he was holding against Santa. I thought there was a solid growth in the film.
Did Krampus do that? Because
he came back.
There was like no character development for that. To me, he just came back randomly.
No, he had his eyes opened. Think about grudges. I thought it was like a fairly decent way of portraying a grudge where they're silent and they're bitter until like something kind of shifts how you're thinking about it. And then you're like, you know what? This feels a little silly.
Okay, the only thing that happened for Krampus between wanting to lock up Santa's #1 security guard and coming back to rescue him was getting the shit slapped out of him. So if we want to call that character development, sure.
The Rock made a personal appeal to his good nature. And he went as far to say Santa never hated you, and he wouldn't either. And Krampus was like, yes, Santa's not a hateful guy. It forced him to like hone in on who Santa was as a person.
Yeah, and then he still wanted to imprison him. Like,
well, he's the dread father of winters, so he's not like a nice guy.
The thing is, I would have accepted if he was just like, actually, I just want to lock up my ex-girlfriend, and that's all I'm here for. I would have accepted that. It feels like the whole scene with Krampus, they just want you to be against this guy.
Oh, I like Krampus. I was on his side. I think I was watching, as soon as Krampus walked, I was like, yeah, this guy rocks. Wait, is Krampus really racist before I declare my support for Krampus? Not this Krampus, but Krampus in general?
I don't know.
Okay,
I think
it's typically portrayed in blackface now that I'm thinking about it. Wasn't that a scene in The Office?
Is it? Okay, so I first heard about Krampus from the TV show The League.
Oh, no, never mind. That is a scene from The Office, though.
Okay. But yeah, I do feel like, again, Krampus was just kind of there. It does feel like the whole purpose of his scene was just to give Jack an opportunity to make the good, selfless choice.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the purpose behind Krampus. I think it was successful. I thought it was like an interesting little tidbit of like folklore. I like the non-Santa centric folklore that they had in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with that. I just think like in terms of like the overall world building, the movie wasn't self-aware enough to pull a lot of stuff off, because if you're going to do this action Christmas movie, for the most part, the fun of it is that like you're taking Santa Claus's character who's like jolly and whimsical and putting like ass kicking in there, but like movies like that usually pull off because they remember like, oh, there is whimsy and humor in this. Like I think this film's best contemporary is Violent Night, which came out in 2022. And if you don't know what Violent Night is, it's basically Die Hard starring Santa Claus. But with that, they fully executed on the concept. Like there are parts where Santa Claus is like sucking on a candy cane to turn into a shank. Like stuff like that is like what really sold that world for me. I think a lot of the stuff in here was just kind of like not necessarily what if the North Pole is militarized. It's what if we put guns in the North Pole, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I thought the set design was great though. Like maybe not the overall themes of the designs, but when they chose those themes, they made it all look great. Like the North Pole as a militarized state looks spectacular. Like it looks, you're like, holy shit, what a nightmare.
I honestly with a lot of the set design is like it started to lose me anytime something moved because like stuff was just so clearly CGI. Like the CGI was not executed well.
Oh, well, yeah, but like I just kind of took it.
Yeah. I mean, like there.
I thought they were like cool designs to an extent.
Yeah.
Like the giant runway for Santa to take off, the snowflake opening for the barrier to the North Pole.
Okay, I'll give it. Those were like those were fun ideas, and they pulled that off. Well, I just think like a lot of other aspects of the North Pole is stuff like, you know, in other Christmas movies with Santa Claus, I've kind of seen it before, and again, I think this is a concept where to pull this off, you have to be very self-aware of what you're doing. Like this is just military and capitalism propaganda. The North Pole's a police state. Santa runs the factory like an Amazon warehouse.
He's got the blimp with the drones. You remember in 2023 when Amazon released commercial where the blimp was releasing drones? They literally, that's how Santa delivers packages. Blimps full of toys drop off barrels of presents that Santa then like command hook down into people's chimneys in order to deliver them under the tree.
Yeah. And that's something where it's like this movie as a concept, I feel like is something I would have fun writing, but my version of this would be a lot more satirical. Like like my version of this would a lot of the points would be like, you know what? Why does the North Pole need an airstrike missile?
I don't know if The Rock gets satire. Like, has The Rock ever really been in a satirical movie?
I feel like the closest is come was Jumanji and Central Intelligence.
I don't know if I guess Jumanji is a bit of a satire.
Yeah, I mean it's somewhat satirical. But I mean also like I would write in a scene that's just a North Pole budget meeting, just a North Pole council being like, "Hey Cal, why do we need 3 extra tanks?"
They should have had like Dick Cheney or someone in the background. Karl Rove.
Yeah, but I mean, like going to like Dwayne Johnson, he does come off as like super stiff in this movie. I do feel like both him and Chris Evans are miscast in this. As we mentioned before, I think Terry Crews would have done a great job in Dwayne Johnson's role, and like and with Chris Evans, like I think I could see like before he started going for Oscar bait, someone like Bradley Cooper to just like play that straight man or role of being like, oh yeah, this is so ridiculous.
I like Chris Evans in that role. I'm not gonna lie. I thought he did I love Chris Evans when he plays an asshole. And this seemed like prime, please don't cast me as Captain America anymore material.
Oh yeah, that's definitely the vibe I got he was going for. Maybe if like the Rock gave him more to play off of, because like again it does feel weird. The Rock is super stiff because he has done stuff like Jumanji and Central Intelligence where he clearly shows he can be comedic and not be too serious and kind of let loose.
Yeah. I just had The Rock was a little flat, but I think it worked for the character. I think the character is supposed to be kind of flat.
Yeah, I definitely get that. I just think there's a way to have like that flat character, but still pull off the lines better. Because I mean, when I think of that, I think of like Dave Bautista in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, or even Stephanie Beatrix playing Rosa Diaz on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Like
I don't think those are flat characters.
Or Andre Braugher playing Captain Hull in Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, he was sort of in like he was in an uncanny valley of seriousness.
Yeah.
Where you can either be like so serious it's comical, or you need to be a little more lively.
Yeah, but that's something where it's like where it's like whenever say Andre Braugher and Andy Samberg are on screen together in that show, they know how to play off each other well to really nail those scenes. I just don't get that same sense when Dwayne Johnson and Chris Evans are together. Because also, whenever Chris Evans is presented with new information, he reacts in the exact same way every single time throughout the movie. He's just like, what? Santa Claus is real? What? Santa Claus has a brother?
Well, okay, in fairness, he had been waiting on set for 7 hours every single day. I think I'd be checked out too. Like, I'd be like, what? Oh, wow. Oh, all right. Okay, let's get out of here. Dwayne's going to show up at 5 next tomorrow. But yeah, I get what you're saying. I still think he was good. I like Chris Evans. And I just want him to, thought he was good as Captain America, but I thought he was great in Deadpool 3 as Johnny.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think with this role, I think I would compare it, among his other roles, I would compare it most to him in Knives Out, where that was a movie where he just straight up played a straight up villain. And like that was a movie where I can tell he had fun being the guy that got on everyone's nerves.
I think this was a matter of like no one knew what this movie or who it was for. Is it for kids for Christmas or is it for teenagers? I just like this movie didn't know who it was for. It should have had a PG rating for a Christmas movie starring The Rock and Chris Evans, or it should have had an R rating.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where like we get into like, because this would definitely fall into the category of what's called alternative Christmas movies, where it's just like, yeah, Christmas movies that aren't like wholesome or romantic comedies that give you that like warm feeling inside. I mean, among alternative Christmas movies, you have like Die Hard, Gremlins, and then some raunchy comedies like The Night Before. But again, like Die Hard and The Night Before are both hard R. PG-13 movies are generally the most profitable because you can just advertise them to the most people. But I do think a Christmas action movie has a narrow enough audience where just make it R-rated and it's going to appeal to that audience a lot more.
Well, and I'm just like trying to think, like they had some swearing, but like what really wasn't PG about this movie?
Yeah, I think
it was just the swearing.
Yeah, I think if they wanted to make this PG, they could have made it animated.
They just had to make the part where Santa's getting his soul sucked out of him a little less scary, and it could have been a killer PG movie. I think live action would have worked. Like Krampus's sick ass engine block sleigh. I think that like all that shit was really cool. I would have ate that shit up as a 7-year-old.
Yeah, and again, I think that's kind of getting into like it doesn't really know its audience because again, I think this is a type of movie that could appeal to older people, but also like I think Chris Evans is still like younger people see him as Captain America, and I think like when they cast him, they weren't sure how exactly they were going to market that.
It's true. I think it also made sense when it was coming out on Amazon, and like ratings don't really mean anything.
Yeah,
and then once you had a guy checking actual ages and a parent had to like be like, oh, I've got to bring my kid to the public place and bring him into the movie that he wasn't supposed to. It's like a whole different ball game. I think you would have gotten a lot more viewers had they just released it on Amazon.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like if the reports are true that the budget blew up while it was in production, I think they just got to a point where Amazon's like, we gotta get some more money back and put it in theaters. Because
7 hours.
Yeah, because like I think especially going back to like the CGI, because like they use CGI on some of the human characters and it looks very obvious when they do. And I think if we're talking about a straight to streaming release, people will be a lot more tolerant of that. But because we know this is a movie that got a theatrical release with a $250 million budget, we're people are going to sit there and be like, okay, where did this money go? It's time for our concessions. This is where I give 3 things I liked about the movie and Chris gives 3 things she didn't. My first concession, the practical effects they used to make Krampus were really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially considering like this movie had the thing where like everyone has to be jacked. They did Jack Krampus really well.
Yeah, even Santa he was doing like shoulder ups of like 3 plates on either side.
Oh yeah. It's like, I just want to imagine J.K. Simmons' reaction when he signed on to play Santa Claus and then they were like, all right, you gotta bulk up.
It dragged a lot in parts. There's parts where I was like kind of jamming along and I'm like, this isn't a great movie, but like it's not absolute dog water. And then there'd be like 15 minutes where I'd look at my phone a lot and then I'd be like, okay, this movie's not great.
Yeah. My next concession, Lucy Liu, she played the head of Mora. I thought she did well. Like and like, cause especially with her character next to Dwayne Johnson's character, it's easy for them to just play them very the same. I feel like they had similar energy, but she played hers differently enough to make him distinct, and when she's comes on screen, I'm not just like, oh, her again.
Yeah, it's kind of pathetic to make a military themed Christmas movie. It's just like, it's kind of pathetic. I don't know. It just like The Rock should try and have enough in his repertoire that he doesn't need to jam the themes of all his other movies into the Christmas movie he wants to do.
I mean, he just did an A24 movie thing like, I'm going to win an Oscar, and that flopped at the box office.
Was he good in it?
He was solid. In my opinion, the problem was the best scenes were when his character was with Emily Blunt's character, and he's not going to outact Emily Blunt.
Yeah.
My final concession, the hacker scene at the beginning where we see Chris Evans for the first time, that was actually fun to watch.
Yeah. That was a good scene.
Yeah. And like, that's something where it's like the skills he showed off there. I wish we had seen more of that throughout the film.
That fight scene wasn't bad either.
What, the one with the snowman?
No, with all the neuralizers and stuff.
Oh yeah.
When he's like hopping across buildings.
Oh yeah, where he 1v8'd Santa Claus's Secret Service.
Yeah. The Rock seemed joyless even when he was supposed to get his joy back. Yeah. Closing statements?
Yep.
You want me to start?
Yeah, you can start.
This movie is as good a Christmas movie as the others. It's good enough to be palatable for a single week out of the year. Perfect background movie to put on while you try to ignore your relatives. 4 out of 5 Hellfire missiles under the tree for young Billy.
Red One has a fun and interesting premise that's bogged down by miscastings and unambitious storytelling. Had this landed in greater hands, it could have been rewatched every holiday season. Instead, it'll be remembered as the movie that auto plays on Prime after watching a better Christmas movie. I give this film a bowl of figgy pudding that's actually napalm. This has been another episode of Film versus Movie. Remember to follow us and rate us 5 stars. I'm Belton Delane Facey.
And I'm Chris Scher.
And we will see you next time.
Cool.